Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to this morning's daily Manchester United news, transfer news, takeover news and general news roundup. Is the takeover as close as we think? Is Ratcliffe on the verge of becoming the United owner, or is it being delayed until the new year now? Does anyone even know what's going on with this takeover and when it's going to be announced? John Murta refusing to leave, more leaks coming out blaming Ten Hag for injuries, and then reports of a massive clear out of over 10 players and potential transfer-ins of Todibo and, of course, Thuram from Nice, among more. So please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. And let's get right into the video. So I'm just going to be honest with you. This is 3 different sources that have all come out of information today on the takeover, and I just basically look at it going, nobody knows anything, it's all guesswork, because Jamie Jackson said Sergio Ratcliffe's purchase of 25% of Man United may become official tomorrow. If not, there'll be no announcement before Monday due to the US stock market closing. So Jamie Jackson saying it could come official Wednesday, today, because he said that last night. Simon Stone said last night it's unlikely there'll be any update around Sergio Ratcliffe in or still for United today, and with the US holidays it's going to be early next week. But then the Mirror are saying, you know what, it's going to be pushed back until the new year. So we've got today, next week, the new year. I just think with this takeover, basically, people know it's coming because Arnold's been sacked. People kind of know it's done. But I think a lot of these journalists are just jumping ahead of the curve and just guessing. They're just guessing when it's going to be announced. I feel like no one really knows when it's going to be announced. They know it's going to happen. They know it's likely. But it's guessing. Some people are saying maybe Qatar is still involved. Maybe Qatar are going to swoop in. I generally don't think that's the case. I think someone like Romano or Ornstein or someone credible would say, you know, there's a chance Qatar could come back in, and they haven't. But it's definitely just guesswork. I think no one knows what's going on. And it's like we could be in March and they could have maybe announced Sejim then. It's like with the Man United takeover, a year today since the club announced they were for sale. We always thought, okay, we'll know something in March. We'll know something in April. These same sources are saying you'll know in April. You'll know in... And now they're saying, well, no, tomorrow, well, no, next week. Well, it's like, actually, this could... I generally think this could be pushed into the new year just because it's United and we're so slow. The takeover's gone on a year. Would I be surprised if we have to wait till New Year to an announcement? Absolutely not. Although Simon Stone is a lot more reliable than Jamie Jackson in the Mirror, and he is saying next week. So out of reliability, Simon Stone, most accurate, but I think it's guesswork. Now, what probably isn't guesswork because everyone's saying it, and the fact that Arnold is gone, is this. Sergio Ratcliffe is set to be announced as the owner of a 25% stake in Manchester United in the coming days. Ratcliffe is planning to build a new football operations department at United once the stake is complete, with Jean-Claude Blanc expected to be the new CEO and Paul Mitchell is the favourite to become sporting director when John Murta is expected to leave when Ratcliffe takes over. Arnold's gone. Arnold actually had a fallout with the Glazers, and there's reports coming out that the reason Arnold's gone and Murta hasn't is because Arnold's relationship with the Glazers was and then Murta's expected to leave maybe later on, but it's saying beyond CEO and sporting director roles, things may happen in due course. There's a feeling there'll be like 6 or 7 other people leaving and 6 or 7 new people coming in, but they're just starting slowly, which is why I think there was reports saying that actually Murta's not going to leave right away. He might leave in the summer because Sir Jim's got so many changes to do, and Blanc's got to be the first. However, Jamie Jackson did say that John Murta does not plan on leaving United. Murta does not want to leave. He wants to be involved, so it will be interesting to see where that goes. I just realised I recorded half the video on like the tiny view, so I'll make my screen a bit bigger, although I don't look good today, so maybe I should have kept it small. But let's get into the leaks. Then I want to get into a few other stories going about. It was said a section of Manchester United players believe the team's poor start is down to Erik Ten Hag overworking the squad in pre-season. They have complained of the beginning of the campaign feeling as tired as when they finished the previous one. The discontent included several senior squad members. It is understood none have explicitly aired their concern to the manager, who believes his players are fully committed and comprehend the need for sacrifice if Manchester United are to be consistently successful. It was then said Ten Hag may have been governed by commercial demands with regards to the pre-season itinerary. Christian Eriksen complained about the travelling after United had lost to Borussia Dortmund in Vegas in the final US tour game, but the midfielder stated a tough pre-season was to be expected. So going back to this, essentially what they're saying is they feel overworked in pre-season. And part of me gets this, part of me doesn't get this. It's a multitude of things. Man United's fixture list last season was insane. Liverpool, this time a year ago, had a very poor start to the season after they were on the verge of winning the quadruple because they played more games than anyone else, and then they started the season knackered and they got loads of injuries. And then towards the end of last season, Liverpool recovered, which makes me think that United are going to end the season a lot better than when they started, when they recover from injuries. We get knocked out of a few competitions. I think we're a little bit like Liverpool last year. We overworked in terms of lack of squad rotation, which is partly on 10R, but we just don't have the quality in players and all the games we were in last season. I do think we could have cut out maybe 2 pre-season games. I do think 2 could have been cut out, but then you look at it and you go, actually, did the first team really play in that many pre-season games? Not really. The academy and the younger ones, like Donny van der Beek and Sancho, played a lot in pre-season, but a lot of the internationals, they didn't play in many pre-season games, but then I guess they play an international break. It's a multitude of things, because I think that maybe with the hectic fixture list last year and the amount of games we had in pre-season, potentially the Man United squad were overworked, and maybe they should have had 1 or 2 rest days. I do feel they need to recover, and I know there's been a lot of complaints about Ten Hag doing a lot of intense training between matches when they would rather do like tactical work, and maybe that needs to be done more because that's what Pep Guardiola does, more tactical work. I do think that potentially the players are being a little bit overworked, just because, you know, the injury list we've got is absolutely insane and the majority of them are muscular injuries. I think there's a feeling they are maybe being a little bit overworked, but at the same time, I get why. They've not been good enough on the pitch. You've got to discipline them. You've got to make them work hard. It's like, are they not being good enough and getting injured because they've been overworked, or is their attitude just not good enough? It's a multitude of things. I don't think it's Ten Hag's fault. I don't think it's that deep of an issue, but I do think that the hectic fixture list, the constant international breaks, the constant friendlies, I don't think these players ever really got a break. I think they should just scrap this November international break, because what was the point of watching England? What was the point of watching France beat Gibraltar 12-0? It's just a pointless game. I mean, it was quite fun to watch that game, but they should have scrapped the November international break and they should have given every player a 2-week rest. That's what they should be doing, because injuries are up by 15% this season. But I think a lot of it is just to do with the amount of games in the Premier League, the amount of minutes. Stop starting with VAR doesn't happen, and I don't think you can blame pre-season for the bad start to the season. Not at all. I'm saying pre-season could contribute to the injuries and fatigue, but I don't think you can blame pre-season to the bad start of the season. I mean, injuries haven't helped, but the players have not been good enough. Now, we need a massive clear out, because if players are complaining about pre-season and looking at that as the excuse for not performing well enough, then they've completely got the wrong attitude. Maybe it's contributed to injuries and fatigue, but you can't use that as an excuse for how bad we've been. And Samuel Lucas has said that Man United are gearing up for another squad clear out to break double figures across the next 2 transfer windows. So that's 10 plus players leading across the next 2 transfer windows, says Samuel Lucas. He said that Greenwood will have 2 more Man United will have 2 more transfer windows to maybe receive a fee for Greenwood. I think Man United and Greenwood, I think Greenwood's probably not going to be able to come back to United. So I think United are looking at it thinking, how much money could we get for this guy? I think he's been okay at Getafe so far, but I think he's not played football in so long that we'll see him at his best second half of the season to see how good he is at Getafe. They want to keep him. I potentially say if there's any Liga star but interested in, maybe include Greenwood in a swap deal. But I think there will be 10 figures leading, and I think Greenwood could leave maybe next January, just before his contract's up on the cheap. It was also said that Rafael Varane is set to leave Manchester United in the summer, and he's interested in the move to Italy or Saudi Arabia, and we could get £20 million for him. However, that did come out from the Sun. But I wouldn't be surprised if Varane left. I wouldn't be surprised if one of Lindelof and Maguire left. I wouldn't be, obviously, Reguilon will go, Amrabat will go, Johnny Evans will go, Tom Heaton will go, Martial will go, Sancho will go. I wouldn't be surprised. Donny will go. I wouldn't be surprised if Anthony went. I think McTominay could still go. Maybe Pellistri or Ahmad, maybe one of the youngsters just says, look, I want some minutes. There could be a surprise move there as well. I think there's going to be quite a few sort of exits in that sort of January period. I wouldn't even be surprised if maybe Eriksen goes, if there's an offer that comes up in for him, because I think he's only got 1 year left on his contract. But we've spoken about the players leaving. Who could United be bringing in? Because, look, I think Ratcliffe will be the next owner. I think it will be delayed. But he has Todibo and Thuram, 2 players at Nice that would benefit United a lot. Todibo we've been particularly linked to. Thuram was linked to Liverpool. But Mikel Silvestre said this: Thuram and Todibo definitely have the level to play for United. And I'm sure they're on the radar and they will be scrutinised. They will probably be put forward because it will be an easy and sensible transition and will make sense for Ineos to get the best scouting reports on those 2 players specifically. They're quality players, both French internationals. Todibo's having a very good season. Thuram a little bit less compared to last season, but still quality midfielder. If I'm United, I go all out for Todibo. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Manchester United need a player like Todibo. Look, my first choice right centre back would be Antonio Silva. I think he's unbelievable on the ball. I think his potential is unreal. But I have to say, with Antonio Silva, he's going to be so expensive as well. So I go for Todibo. He's a wide channel defender. He can defend large spaces. He's good one-on-one. He's physical with a partner Martin as well. He's good on the ball. If I'm United and the funds are there in January, I go for Todibo and I go for Nico Williams in January. And I've made that very clear. I actually do want to show you something quickly. This is what I said Man United should do ahead of the January window. I said, at Man United, the reliance on short-term fixtures and loans in the transfer window is a key issue. If someone gets injured, we'll do a loan, like a, Ratcliffe loan, so bits of loan. We need to stop that. We need to build for the future, and we should be doing that in January like other teams with Todibo and Nico Williams. We need to start signing players in that 20 to 27 age range that stoop Ten Hag's direction. We need to sell Sancho in January, and securing Nico Williams is a must. Williams excels in goal-creating actions and dribbling, which addresses a gap in United's ability, and with 6 months left on his contract, he could be a 3. When that broke, get him on a pre-contract for the summer for 3. Todibo at 40 million euros looks like a bargain. He has the ability to cover large spaces, defend wide channels, and is good on the ball, which is what we need. I'd consider cashing in on Varane in January to fund Todibo, given Varane's declining influence and age due to injuries. Obviously, I would rather sell Maguire or Lindelof ahead of Varane. I would rather sell Maguire and Lindelof, or one of Maguire and Lindelof, and get Todibo, but because of the Varane situation, it looks like Varane's going to leave. And if we get more than 25 million for Varane, I wouldn't turn it down just because of his age. But I am a big Varane fan. I think he's slightly underrated by United fans, and I would rather Lindelof go when we bring in Todibo. But if the Varane situation with Ten Hag isn't the best, obviously I'd fund Varane going to bring in Todibo or Lindelof or Maguire. Despite being a fan of Antonio Silva, Todibo is a more realistic option price range, and that could price range wise, and that could allow us to bring in a left centre back in summer, like someone like Inacio, which could be appealing with Martinez's injury record. And I said sort of ahead of 2024, I'd get Sancho and I'd get Sancho out, Williams in. I'd go all out for Todibo. If Varane and Ten Hag fix up, I would even try and sell Lindelof to fund it. And then if we get the money for Martial, I'd maybe look at Marcus Leonardo as a potential replacement. And then in the summer, I'd be looking at maybe Inacio as at left centre back, Amadou Onana, João Neves, whoever Ten Hag really wants to sort of bring in midfield. Anyway, please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.